Good evening, adventurers. In today's tale, we have a player bring a full-blown edgelord character into what is supposed to be a comedy campaign, and then proceeds to go off-book and cause their in-game plans to go totally off the rails. Let's get into it. Tonight's tale is called When the Party is 50% Edgelords. So, this story was thankfully a short experience due to the edgelord not being in the campaign for more than 2 sessions. But with the way I write things, this post is going to end up long anyway. However, I think it's an interesting one because it involved 2 edgelords both being in a party at the same time. Kinda. So, we were running an online short-term 5th edition game. We are currently between campaigns and had a new player join our Discord server and show interest in playing with us. We figured a short campaign of about 10 sessions was a perfect way to get acquainted. Things were made very clear from the start that this would pretty much be a comedy campaign, as our last campaign had a very dramatic and emotional finale, and we want to cut loose for a bit. It's also worth noting that this player is new to our group, but not to tabletops or even Dungeons & Dragons. They claimed quite a bit of experience under their belt, and, based on how they built their character and knew the rules well, I'm inclined to believe them. I mention this only because it seems unbelievable later. There were 5 of us in total. Our DM, who I hadn't seen DM before, but they were a great player and turned out to be really good, throwing themselves into every character and 100% committing to the terrible but incredibly entertaining character voices. Me, playing Skeebles, a goblin cavalier fighter who rode on the back of a blink dog. The blink dog was quite a coward and would occasionally teleport out of danger, leaving the rider behind. My friend, playing Oliver, who was insistent on the pronunciation of Olivier, a high elf wild magic barbarian who believed themselves to be a powerful mage like the rest of their family. Our former DM, playing Black Cain, a drow assassin rogue who wore a dark cloak and spent most of their time brooding. We were surprised by this due to the DM's nature and the comedic setting. We had never seen them play a PC either, so there was some doubt about whether or not this is how they normally played. Still, they had been an excellent DM, so we waited to see. The new player, on the other hand, we knew nothing about, but still seemed to have hit the cliché perfectly. They were playing Donic Mors, which is literally Latin for long death, a fallen Azimar grave cleric who was an initiate in a death cult, sent out to hone their skills before becoming a fully fledged member. I think they played a cleric because we mentioned that a healer would be nice, but I don't think they ever did any actual healing. Despite our trepidation, we were excited to see what the DM turned player and new player had to offer. Session 1 begins, and we've been hired by a king to commit accounting fraud. That might not sound that interesting, but it was based on a really fun idea. The concept was that dragons were attracted to gold, so accountancy was an important role in any kingdom, making sure too much gold is never stockpiled at the same place. Our job was to destabilise a kingdom by sneaking gold into their royal vault. A reverse bank heist, if you will. It was important that we made sure no one knew that we did it, or they would remove the gold before the dragon arrived. Therefore, we made a plan to make the heist look like a botched assassination attempt on the Queen. On the way there, we talked a little. Olivier and Skeebles became good friends quickly, bonding over stories of great battle that they were both lying through their teeth about and trying to one-up each other. Donic was silent, answering any attempts to talk to us with dismissive grunts or one-word answers. Cain also seemed quiet, but eventually talked. In fact, once we spoke to them, they began to talk way too much. They opened up about their horribly complex and ridiculously tragic backstory almost immediately, and how they only desire to get revenge on a comically long list of enemies. Me and my friend pretty quickly figured out that this was an ironic stereotype and played along, laughing as we did so. A particularly funny sequence was Cain talking about how they drank poison in small amounts to become immune. Olivier and Skeebles both demanded to see this trick, and, with edgelord confidence, Cain downed a whole bottle of his own poison. He spent the next few hours throwing up and trying not to cry, unsuccessfully. Surprise, he's not a real edgelord. So everything was good. Mostly. New player was still not really interacting, but we figured they were getting their bearings and weren't yet comfortable with roleplay. Perfectly understandable. I won't get into the details of the heist much, but at some point we had to split up. Half of the group would fake the assassination, whilst the other half would deliver the gold below ground. Donic made their first real character decision and firmly insisted on being in the assassination team. Alright, no problem. Skeebles wanted to fight the Royal Guard, and so chose to be in the assassination group. Kane was better at sneaking, and Olivier was convinced that their spells could help them break into the vault, so they went below. Whilst the other two were sneaking their way in, Skeebles and Donick both had to force their way into the throne room and loudly shout a proclamation at the Queen's head. We get into fighting, and Skeebles focuses on kiting the very strong Royal Guard around. I wasn't trying to fight them, of course, we had no chance, but we needed to delay. Donick, on the other hand, had alternative ideas. Rather than helping, she allowed Skeebles to be a distraction as she rushed at the Queen. She used her Path of the Grave to give the Queen vulnerability, and then next turn tried to cast Inflict Wounds on her. However, Queens have royal mages, who counterspelled it and started battling the cleric. Skeebles was getting ready to run soon, but wouldn't leave their companion behind. He kept shouting that it was time to go and that the plan had failed. Donick was not leaving. In fact, they weren't even fighting the mage. They were focusing on trying to kill the Queen exclusively, which led to the mage putting them down quickly. Skeebles ran in to help Donick, but got surrounded by the guard and abandoned by his dog, who ran out of the palace. We were captured. Now, that was dumb, sure, but it wasn't unsalvageable. We were only captured, and the actual gold delivery had worked without detection. Now our companions just needed to rescue us before we were forced to spill our secrets. Session 2 starts with Donick and Skeebles being placed in a dungeon below the palace. Skeebles' dog finds the others and manages to indicate that something has gone wrong. They use her sense of smell to locate them and sneak back into the palace again, making jokes about the security as they go. They locate us and there's a rescue, which was fun, but I won't go into details. Finally, we're out. Time to go back and report to the king of the opposing nation that it all worked. So we're set to leave the city after a night's rest. That's when Donick disappears, as our characters sleep, in an alleyway since taverns seemed like a bad idea. Skeebles is actually quite at home, but Olivier hates it, and Kane says it reminds him of his life as an orphan after he lost his second family. Donick sneaks away, with all of us failing perception rolls to notice. We awake to the news that the Queen was attacked again by the same assassin. This attempt apparently went even worse, unsurprisingly. The would-be assassin was due to be executed at midday. Now, logically, the crew should just abandon her. She's clearly a liability, and, with upcoming execution, it seems like the Queen wasn't bothering to interrogate her. But we didn't want to just abandon our new player, so we were struggling between what we wanted to happen as players and justifying it as characters. As we were discussing this, Donick's player speaks up and gets very angry. She demands to know why we won't save her. We ask why she ran back in again, and she says, "Because you can just save me when I fail." We notice she doesn't seem like she regrets her actions, and ask her if she plans to attack the Queen again if we rescue her. She answers with a yes. We ask her why, in the name of whatever death god she worships, she finds it so important to kill the Queen. She answers with, "I shit you not, because bringing death is the essence of my life." We go, "Okay then, we're not going to save you if you'll just get yourself killed intentionally." She says several unfavourable things I'd rather not repeat, and promptly leaves the server. Thankfully, we didn't have to find a way to kill her character, since it was literally already scheduled. The party attends the execution out of amusement, and we make, perhaps too many, jokes. A particular favourite of mine is Olivier stating, right after she is decapitated, "Huh, looks like death was the essence of her death as well." The rest of the campaign was tons of fun, and we're setting up for the next long-term one. However, we've not forgotten our brave fallen companion, because bringing death is the essence of my life has become a staple in-joke of ours, and we often use it when we are asked for an explanation on just about anything. Let us all pour one out for the terrifying acolyte of death, with a total inability to read the room and understand that we are making fun of edgelords like her. And there we have it. Well, I enjoyed this one a lot. Seeing it through the lens of a group intending for a comedy campaign, and getting a surprise edgelord who then went on to create some of the most unintentionally funny moments. I really think this story is a testament to why Session Zeros are a great thing, especially to make sure that all players get the theme and vibe with what's going on. I really have to give credit to everyone in this story, as they ran this short campaign to get acquainted with a newer player. Clearly, of course, it didn't work out. Personally, I don't mind a little edge to some characters, but Donick may have taken the biscuit on this one. I'd be really curious to see a game with a full adventuring group of Donicks. Or maybe I wouldn't, that might just be a murder hobo group. What are your thoughts on edgy characters? Have you ever had a character that was so woefully out of sync with the rest of the group? Let me know. I look forward to reading your stories. That's all I have for tonight. But remember, the tavern is always open. Good night.